A layer of glass separates cold air from hot air. The temperature gradient across the glass is H, and the rate of thermal energy transfer through a unit surface area of the glass is P. The thickness of the glass layer is doubled. What are the temperature gradient and the rate of thermal energy transfer through the glass after this change? It is given in a data booklet that delta Q over delta T is equal to Ka delta T over delta X. And delta T over delta X, it's this temperature gradient, where delta T is difference in temperature between these 2 points, and delta X, it's this distance which is then doubled. Delta Q over delta T, it's the rate of thermal energy transfer. Q, it's energy, T, it's time. And initially delta T over delta X, it's H, and initially delta Q over delta T, it's P. And this given that delta X increases by a factor of 2. Its denominator, so this fraction decreases by a factor of 2. Hence delta T over delta X, which is this temperature gradient, this value decreases by a factor of 2. It becomes H over 2. K, it's some constant which depends on material. Material remains the same, so it remains the same. A, it's a cross-sectional area. It also remains the same. Hence, delta Q over delta T also decreases by a factor of 2. So the rate of thermal energy transfer becomes P over 2. Hence, D is correct. The next. Insulated solid copper rods of different diameters and fixed lengths are placed in thermal contact with 2 objects, X and Y, maintained at different temperatures, Tx and Ty, respectively. Which graph shows the variation with rod diameter d of the rate of thermal energy transfer, delta Q over delta T, along the rod? So the same formula, delta Q over delta T is equal to K A delta T over delta X. Delta X is this distance. It remains the same. Delta T, it's a difference in temperatures, it's also the same, so it's constant. K, it depends on material. Material remains the same, so it's also constant. And A, it's the cross-sectional area, and we know that it's pi radius squared or pi diameter squared over 4. So delta Q over delta T is proportional to diameter squared. And a graph of y is some constant times x squared. It's a parabola, so it increases quadratically, so it's d. And that's all for this question.